All right, so what's up, guys? If you landed on this page, it's because you're interested in Unchained, you're interested in the work that I do. If you don't know who I am, my name is Mark Holman. I'm a men's holistic health coach, and I focus on helping men naturally optimize their testosterone levels. So today I'm going to go through a case study of an actual client from point A to Z, all the way through the protocol, all through what we did in order to optimize his testosterone levels naturally, where he started, what we did in the program, and then where he finished, where he is now, and then what's the protocol to continue on. I find a lot of times the people that watch the video above this, the Unchained brochure, still have questions about specifics, and I'm really unable to answer that because it's all dependent on the individual. So hopefully with this video, you get to see behind the scenes of a protocol that's actually worked and how I work and what you can expect when you join the program. All right, so this is where we started. This is the initial check-in profile that my client completed. So we're gonna go through this. You get scored on different areas: program-oriented, mental, emotional. You can see these, read these on the screen. Mental emotional was down. Overall score 66%. Gut health not great. Physical health not great. All these markers not great. As you can see, his energy was low. He wasn't feeling his best. He knew that there was more on the table, and he was leaving that up to chance. That's essentially why he hopped into the program, was to really just turn the dial up and optimize things. He was doing okay. He was doing average. He was feeling all right, but he really wanted to advance his life, attract more wealth, be better in his relationships, and just be a fucking beast in his overall life. And this is where we started. So 66%, not the best, not feeling great. So we're going to hop into his bloods. This is the initial profile as well. These were the initial bloods that we saw. I'm going to go through this like I would if you were to sign up for this program. So I'm going to go through it line by line. These are optimal ranges. They're based on optimal health rather than the absence of disease like you'll see on a lab sheet. So these are a lot tighter. These let us know a lot more about what's going on. So glucose, all this stuff seemed fine. Sodium was slightly low. Calcium was low because of his low vitamin D. Carbon dioxide. This was the main thing here. His total protein was a little bit low. Globulin slightly high. And then ALP was a little bit low on the, it's still in the optimal range, but it was a little bit on the low end. So we're thinking maybe there's some zinc stuff. Doesn't look like he's absorbing things properly. Looks like AST, ALT, liver enzymes are high. Could be some stuff with bile. That's what we're thinking. GGT is a little bit elevated, so maybe there's some liver issues. But this was the main thing that we saw. 102, low total cholesterol, low triglycerides, low HDL, and LDL on the lower end. 48 is pretty low, even if it is within the optimal range. So the biggest thing that we saw for him right out of the gate was low cholesterol. And how that hinders his testosterone production. Cholesterol is a precursor, and therefore we need to have optimal levels of this to have optimal levels of testosterone. And we pair that with his ALT, AST. That's where bile is created and stored. So we know there's issues digesting fats. Right out of the gate, we understand that. And then how does that show up through the rest of the bloods? All of these low. Hematocrit, that's really low. Hemoglobin, really low. RBC, low. Platelets, WBC, possibly a zinc deficiency there again. MCV is high. So there's all these different nutrient deficiencies that we're seeing, and we come back to his total protein is low. So very clearly with this guy, he wasn't digesting and absorbing the nutrients from the food he was eating. His diet was okay, was subpar, but if he was absorbing things, the bloods would look better. These bloods are not looking too hot. A lot of nutrient deficiencies, a lot of things that we see right out of the gate that we can attack that's going to improve his health, improve his life, and his testosterone levels. Iron as well, low. Fatigue is going to be creeping in on you if your iron is low. His monocytes were slightly elevated, so we're thinking maybe there's also a possibility of an infection. But in terms of the hierarchy of needs, we want to go upper digestive before that, and that's bile, that's stomach acid, which we can see. Nothing too much else on here. We can see thyroid is, it's okay, but here's his total testosterone. 591, his free was 94.8, prolactin 14.6, estrogen low, SHBG high, 52, and everything else. LH and FSH are a little bit high as well. Vitamin D, severely low. Like I mentioned, just seeing calcium low, I already knew that that was going to happen. And IGF-1, we're not too worried about that. Hemoglobin, metabolically, we're fine. So this is the initial bloods. This is the initial profile. This is how I'm going to go through your bloods in a similar manner. the same things are not going to be on your bloods. But to give you an example of how I actually go through this, we're looking at the root cause. We're not just going, oh, total testosterone is low, let's give him test boosters. No. Why is it low? His cholesterol is low. He's not digesting and absorbing the nutrients. He's got tons of nutrient deficiencies. Let's address that. All right, so moving on. This is the protocol that we created based off of those findings. Low stomach acid, fat maldigestion, nutrient deficiencies, stuff like this. So this is a similar protocol that you'll get, document. It's not going to be a similar protocol based on what we see on the bloods. So you get an overview, the blood work findings, high markers, low markers, optimal, the marker summary. So you can see 38% optimal here. That is not what we want. We want that to be way higher. We can get into overarching patterns. Low stomach acid, poor nutrient absorption, slight, possible bacterial infection, and low testosterone. Coming into his nutrient deficiencies, B6, B9, B12, zinc, iron, selenium. A lot of different nutrient deficiencies that we were seeing there. So those are just the summary. Now getting into this, we want to focus on, we phase it out. So phase 1, nutrient absorption, we're supporting stomach acid, we're supporting bile and fat absorption, and then we're going to get into the hormone optimization after that. So getting into lifestyle. Some of this stuff wasn't that crazy. Morning sunlight, earthing, no screens 1 hour before bed, EMF reduction, making sure he's hydrated, cold shower or plunge, and stress management. Pretty basic stuff here. These green ones are a little bit more specific towards him. We wanted to really make sure, I'm gonna highlight these, really make sure that he's doing everything he can to digest these nutrients. Eating hygiene, chewing your food into a paste. If you're a fast eater, putting your cutlery down between each bite is gonna help you chew the food more, mix it with saliva so it's mechanically digested and it's chemically digested a lot more than if you're just shoveling food down your gullet. This one thing can actually make a massive difference in people with blood work like this and people who are not absorbing nutrients and not digesting foods. Just that. Specific eating environment. So if we're at our desk taking meals at our desk, we're in more of a stress state and we're not going to be in an optimal state for digestion. Eating at a table, eating outside, disconnecting from the work. Vagus nerve stimulation, which is the parasympathetic. We can either hum or do 3 deep diaphragmatic breaths before meals to stimulate that parasympathetic, get in that rest and digest state. Massively important for this guy because he was not digesting and absorbing his nutrients. And these are things from a lifestyle perspective we could do. Icing his balls, his LH and FSH were a little bit high, so we could possibly, this might possibly help. 100% organic cotton underwear. Every man in the program who joins gets a free pair of this. And then a toxic deload, going through products and seeing what he can eliminate. That's lifestyle. Nothing crazy there, but you can see how the majority of that, what I went over, was highly targeted to what he needed. Now getting into the nutrition. So a summary here, digestive capability, macronutrients. Protein is a little bit low. So for context, this guy was around 200 pounds, 205. That's a little bit low. 150 grams is a little low. 80 grams of fat isn't the highest as well. But we went lower on protein and fats because he's not absorbing them. So why would we smash 200 grams of protein if you're not going to absorb them? That is the nuance here. That's why this approach works so well, because he has a low stomach acid, poor fat digestion. Key nutrients for him, a lot of these stuff were deficient. So, we'll point that out and we'll give you exact foods that you need to eat to fill these nutrient gaps. And then we get into more specific food additions. So for him, again, digestive aids. This is where the money was made for him. Bitter vegetables with every meal, arugula, chicory, radish, beets, ginger, some of these as well. This helps you stimulate bile production, which is going to help him absorb fats. Also avoid drinking water during and after meals. Ginger is good. Sour foods, acidic, bitter, they help digestive juices, create acid, create bile, and that's going to allow him to digest his food a lot better. Apple cider vinegar is going to be cool. Protein, so we're opting for more lean sources so we can get a decent amount of protein with not overly consuming fats because there's a protein absorption and fat absorption issue here. So just going in, really just driving quality here, making sure that we're getting lean sources of protein. Nothing crazy here. Fats, so a lot of these fats help with the bile. So that's kind of how the body works. If you're eating some type of fat source, the body's going to produce bile. So some of these stuff help. Brazil nuts for the selenium deficiency, pumpkin seeds help with magnesium as well. So avoiding seed oils, high quality cooking oils. You can see here, this is the stuff that helps. Veggies and fruits. So choleretic and cholagogue, similar to bitter vegetables, these help stimulate the production of bile and then also the release of bile to help absorb the fats so we can absorb more cholesterol. Organic fruits, so raw pineapple and papaya, it's going to further aid in protein digestion. And then a few other things that are just staples as well. His estrogen, I think his estrogen was low. SHBG was high, though. Additional, nothing too out of the realm of here, but the main thing for him were the cholinergic, cholagogue, and just everything helping. Main issue, digestion. Give him foods that are going to support digestion. Food removals, so gluten, all this other stuff. Flaxseed is estrogenic. It also increases SHBG, so we had to remove that from his diet. He was actually consuming that, pretty sure. And then the obvious stuff, alcohol, seed oils. Gluten is something I recommend to remove as well. Herbs and spices to throw in there, turmeric, black pepper. So that's the nutrition side, very specific to what he needed. Training was going to be in the app. We don't need to go over that. Supplementation here. So this is where we get even more specific with him. No test boosters. No test boosters. We went through digestion. So hierarchy of needs, digestion was really high for him. Absorption. So super enzymes and TUDCA. Helps with bile. TUDCA really helps with bile and fat absorption and liver health. Super enzymes, same. Stomach acid, digestive enzymes, ox bile. So these two combined together with meals is going to help him absorb the nutrients that he needed. Vitamin D was low, so we're supplemented with that. We did a pretty high dose. Don't really recommend this for you guys. Don't do this. Not health advice. I'm just showing you exactly what we did. 30,000 IUs every other day. His vitamin D was like 17. He has dark skin as well, so we needed a little bit more support here. This is not a long-term thing. We did this for maybe 3 weeks to get him saturated, and then we titrated back down to 10,000, did another blood test, and his vitamin D was much better. P5P, this is going to help with the prolactin. His prolactin was a little bit high, so we threw some P5P in there. B6, deficient. Thrown in beef organs as well. He was deficient in iron, deficient in a lot of different nutrients that this is going to be beneficial in. And then magnesium glycinate. He's training, he's sweating a lot. We need to replenish that. It's about 10 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. And then phase 2, we're going to get into the hormonal support. These are supplement explanations. And these are just little extra things that you can get once you sign up. All right, and so now I'm going to hop into the second bloods, and we're going to see how this worked. All right, so we're back in the bloods, and we have the new bloods. So these were the old, these are the new. I'm going to pull up the pie chart and see we were at 38% optimal, and then how far we got away. So real quick, this is from the phase 2, 38% like we said, and we got them up to 52% optimal. So a massive change just from the blood work markers. And now let's pull up the actual blood work. All right, so here's the actual bloods, old side, new side. Let's dive in. So a lot more optimals that we're seeing. Calcium, even though it's not within the optimal range now, way closer. That's because we increased his vitamin D. Total protein in the optimal range. Albumin was a little bit up, but his globulin is better. Albumin, he was just a little bit more dehydrated here. His ALP is a lot better. We helped with that zinc deficiency. And what do you know? Cholesterol from 102 to 189 and his LDL from 48 to 115. So he's got a lot more cholesterol in his body. His triglycerides did not increase too much, actually went down. So this is, again, we're going to continue working on this. HDL, much better place though. I'm extremely happy based on the work that we were doing and this being the result. Still lows here, but look at that. 68 compared to 43, 31. That's what we're going to be diving in on this time. But let's continue. We're getting just like much closer into these optimal ranges. 39 is way out. We're at 43. We're just getting much, much closer into the optimal ranges here from 16 to 12%. Like we're just improving drastically. Iron's still a little bit low to work on there. But here's the main thing, dude. Look at this. You went from 591, which is mid, average, not good, to 869. And you saw exactly what we did. We didn't do any test boost. We didn't do anything. I showed you the exact document that he used and the exact protocol that he was doing. Total massive increase, free, pretty good increases here as well. Almost within that free optimal range. This is actually very rare. I rarely see people get into the 150. So 134.6, that's really good. 869, that's also really good. Prolactin drastically reduced, 9.6 compared to 14.7. Estrogen in an optimal range. His SHBG went up. And this is going to be something that we're going to dive into on the phase 2. SHBG down, and that's going to only increase his free testosterone, get that over 150. Vitamin D in a much better range. We pulled back on the supplementation because it did get a little bit high, but that's nothing to worry about. And his insulin is great. So metabolically amazing, testosterone high, and we'll look into a recent check-in and see how much better he's feeling. All right, and this is one of the most recent check-ins that we've done, and you can drastically see the difference, right? So this is June 29th. This one was February 1st. Look at the difference. 66%. We're at 100%. Let's see what he was talking about. Just tens all across, making progress. His gut health is much better. His physical, look at all these 10s, 7s. His nutrition is locked in. Body feeling much stronger, flexible, and healthy. Like, he's absolutely crushing it now. I wanted to share the specifics to show you what's possible, what is on the other side of this. If you commit to yourself, you commit to your health, on optimizing your health and your hormones naturally by using functional blood work, the world is your oyster. You're going to be feeling like a G. So there it is. That's the case study. If you are interested in something like this, if you're like, wow, those results were crazy, they didn't even have to do anything on testosterone, they just optimized his health, and that increased his hormones and got him to where he wanted to be, from 66% to feeling 100% in an overall score based off all these different metrics. If that is something that is interesting to you, then all you have to do is click the button around this video to book a call in. We'll chat about what's going on, and I'll share my feedback on what the path forward looks like and how I can help you and how we can drastically transform your health, optimize your hormones, and you can become the man that you're meant to be. I'll talk to you soon.